with a formula response, so I just have to go directly into this without plans because it's all jumbled in my mind, like what I want to say clearly. And it's just that I always need to focus, bring it to the point. The point is, I'm responding to New Breed's. I respect New Breed a lot, so anything I say from this point, I want that to be understood. I differ from him, but I respect him. So, with that being said, his response to the Lecrae interview or the Lecrae podcast. First of all, I need to say that I've not listened. I don't know any Lecrae songs. Um, this is where I just unbiased because I have to like be able to present this the way that I would have been more easily able to receive it. I'm not going to criticize or complain about the way New Breed does what he does. And I think that my stance would be more like my own lawyer. Because again, like I'm watching how New Breed thinks and I respect him, but I also at the same time because I want to agree with him. I want to agree with New Breed before I go any further into this with the part that should have been a sickening thing that Lecrae experienced, that he should have been kind of throwing up and just sick on his stomach. I'm not going to say that he wasn't. He didn't say that he was, and that leaves all these assumptions. I'm going to say that I do believe. I'm going to say that I want to believe that Lecrae didn't do anything but just be there, and that he told the truth throughout the whole podcast. That's what I want to believe, and wisdom tells me to listen to New Breed and listen to his opinions and his statements of fact and learn discernment. With that's also something that New Breed, um, I believe he has it to a degree, and I'm not saying that mine is a higher degree. I'm learning this discernment thing too because it is absolutely essential. When we have this world where we have pockets of heaven and pockets of hell, sometimes they seem to be right here on earth. So I'll continue. Why do I want to believe Lecrae? Because I will confess on myself before I go any further. Okay, because I know that some of that, like every time New Breed hit that button and say Lecrae's gay, Lecrae's gay, I was like, wait, why has it got to be like that? Because I want to believe that he's not. I want to believe that he's just under the pressure of being in the industry, just like I have been and am. And y'all can clown me all day because I have fame with no riches to it except for what I work hard for every day at my normal 9 to 5, or quote unquote 9 to 5. The way people are, the way that interview or that podcast was, I have to be specific. Okay, so I go in at 6 and I get out at 10, sometimes 11. To be specific, this morning I went in at 10:30. I got out at 1, and I go back at 6, just to be specific, because that's what I felt like. I was like, oh my gosh, like what happens when or if New Breed gets a hold of my story? Because it's a story. Cactus got the Grammy. He lives down the corner. I've moved back to Asheville. Haven't seen Cactus yet. I don't know what his experience was with all of that. So I'm again going to cut that off right there. I'm not assuming anything because not it's not that New Breed looks like behind me, a mule or anything like that. But there were a lot of, just like Lecrae said, assumptions that were going to happen just because he said he was at the party. Um, have I been into? I've been to none of the Hollywood parties. I lived in Hollywood for a minute. Actually, not in Hollywood. I've been through Hollywood, but I lived in Los Angeles. I started college there at American College of Applied Arts. Near the corner, I stayed near the corner of Sepulveda and Venice Beach, Venice Boulevard. I was a couple miles, if not a mile, just a mile from Venice Beach. Um, I sensed the weirdness there in the beginning. Like I had my experience that I've spoken on in other places in my little guess. I'm just sitting there talking to myself, but a couple people like it every now and then. Knowing good and gosh darn well that there are quite a bit of people in places that just sit there and look, not saying a word to me about it. all kind of stuff behind my back about it. It is what it is. So when I'm listening to New Breed do his um, examination of the podcast, I'm like, okay, well, how will he examine me? Because what if Lecrae was just being honest, just like putting himself out there just to be honest and just to be like, okay, I'm not perfect. I landed in this crazy situation, and that's just what it is in Hollywood. Um, well, the reason I would want to think is because I mean, I can't just throw all of Hollywood out. Like, I am not throwing away Senora Sacha Preto. Why? Because I was in situations because of the Grammy that people were hating me, people were trying to kill me, spirits were at me. Like the shamanic part where my open window, I have guarded with a sword right now, I have guarded with a gun somewhere else, with like a satellite that has, I'm just gonna go pew! But anyway, yeah, people talk about how quote unquote cray cray I be. And most of the time, if not 99% of the time, 120% of the time, it's them trying to blame their crazy on me. I'm not dumb. And I don't deny that this world and the sin and all the craziness has driven everyone crazy, and some of us just admit it and do the work to sanitize ourselves. Yes, I admit and I agree with Newbury that we need to clean it up. I don't want to be back and forth and judgmental and like examining somebody to pick out something that I can judge them for. I want them saved. And even Puff Daddy, if he could be saved that way, then I would be like, okay, well, maybe Lecrae is one of those troops that's just really, some dude, that happened to make it, and he deals with that industry, and that's what he's got to deal with. I mean, I know what I've had to deal with, and I chose not to continue in the band that did go up the very next year out to Hollywood to get the Grammy, wherever the Grammys was. It was somewhere, and Cactus said my name, Mahira, on that stage. I've just come back to town, 15 years. So all of this, me saying this, okay, am I sly bragging? At this point, I want to slap people whenever they even insinuate stuff like that, to tell you the truth, because this is not about me wanting to be in front of you, like looking a certain way. It's like a lot of time I've been way back in the background. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. The way people are acting, the way people are talking, the way people are being, it's not cool. And I feel the demonic, and I also am thankful for the angelic. There are angels that go deep, deep, deep into the dark places to draw out those that can be saved. I know there's a cutoff date. I know that there's a cutoff date to where, all right, don't get stuck down there because you would get cut off too. Would you? I mean, I'm allowed to have questions. So are you. And I'm asking. And I'm answering a few if anyone were to care to listen. Um, so I'm gonna go and just quickly, I'm just gonna say it. Like, that was a very uncomfortable. I listened to the whole thing. Study Show Yourself Approved. I listened to that New Breed podcast, or New Breed broadcast, and I'm making this statement before I post that his on my page, because I have to explain. And I know that I don't know that my pastor is going to watch this entire video, but someone or ones from my church may. So I do always try to keep in mind whatever I post. Like, I go to a real church where the Holy Spirit is present, and I don't want to lead my children or my elders wrong. Like, at the risk of uh, something worse than a millstone being tied around my neck and tossed into the ocean. It's that important. I understand that. I recognize that, because a boy is a boy, a girl is a girl, and the fact of that Lecrae interview, he told you that that's what they do. Then he goes to part, but he also said, not everybody's doing that, and in one sense, it's almost all they have to do, because they are slaves. You get that much, right? They are slaves. Like, the biggest two slaves on this planet are Jay-Z and Beyonce. Even though they look like they have it all and what everybody wants, they are hellbound if there's not a huge repentance. And it's just the truth. And that hell is not going to be a lit where they like being, because every bit of it will be deserved, leading people astray and leading them away from the hope to get out of any of that, to be in heaven with Jesus forever, to be in heaven with the Most High God. What did Jay-Z do? He has on his record where you reverse it, it says kill Jesus, murder Jesus. He tells you that the church is not. That is blasphemy. It's not good. I don't agree with that. I get mad at that. I hate that. Do I hate Jay-Z? I mean, I hate what he's done, but when it calms down to it, I don't want anybody to go to hell except for the devil. You mean, and in the past, I was so naive that I didn't want him to go to hell. But then I had to see that people are actually really torturing people, really eating people alive, really that the demons are really real, and Nephilim are really real, and they don't want people to go to heaven. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I can be all right with you staying in hell then and going all the way there. That's where I cut that off and say, like, go, go. But what I want to do is reach in and save my Sacha and my people, my mom. You know, um, it's heavy because some of us grew up, I didn't ask to grow up in a Masonic household. And so I was taken by my grandfather, my other grandfather, who had to beat up a bunch of Masons to try to make him one. And he was a strong Southern Baptist minister, and he was my protection from my early life while I'm even still here breathing. Because it's really deep what they do and what they go through. I will also post today the prototype, what the most of the Masonic is supposed to be based on. Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie Jah Rastafari. It does go that deep. It very much goes that deep. Let me, before going too deep, back up, go towards what was I trying to say about the actual post that I'm going to post next, the interview or the description that New Breed gave, the analysis of Lecrae's podcast. It was difficult, brother New Breed, sir. It was difficult just because a lot of the ways I just wanted to hear the whole thing. Like, I would have the way I'm going to have to do it, learning from Breed very much, also learning from other people. Like, I would have wanted to just hear what Lecrae had to say all the way out. I might have, and since I would do that, I would go ahead and give my opinion, like, succinct, like maybe like a minute. It's like, okay, this is how I feel about it, but I'm gonna let you all see it before I go back through it and dissect it. Because I was just like, I haven't seen what he's really going to say yet. And so what you're saying is swaying me into what you're, painting it to be. And it might not be that. And sometimes it is not that. But I will listen for the discernment. As a who's been out there in the street. In here in the house, I am busy studying to show myself approved. This is part of school. This is definitely work that I have to do. So why did I take some of it personally? What parties have I been to? Um, I was in Clinton when I left 23 Skidoo after leaving that situation to go to church, to Spanish churches where I went 14 years ago. I dived off the stage here in Asheville all the way down to Clinton. Holy Spirit led me to churches, Mecano, Guatemala, Holy Spirit filled churches, Spanish speaking churches. And at that point, it was necessary because I was so jaded by American Christianity, by Western Christianity. I couldn't even listen, knowing that God's real, knowing that it's about biblical, knowing that it's Jesus Christ. Yes, Jesus, Cristo Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, Alaba Jesus. Knowing that God is real, knowing that Jesus Christ is God, knowing that the Bible is Jesus Christ. Had a hard time with hearing it from people who would condemn me without even knowing what the heck I've been through. So I go to these churches where I can't understand what the heck they're saying, because I know they probably do it too, but it was very obvious the Spirit was with me, is in me, is with these churches. And so I'm there in Clinton for about a year or two, and every night I'm practicing still. Like, I still have my practice of rhyming until I'm done every night. And during the day, I'll play my guitar or I'll play whatever. Like, I'm a DJ. I'll practice so that when I get back on stage, it's going to be good. And with that being said, I got kind of discovered whether Benny Siegel was in town, in Clinton, and he had scouts told me, like, okay, we're going to bring you up there. His scout picked me up, gave me a guitar, like a $200, $300, $400 guitar, took me to the studio in Raleigh where Benny had a party. No gay stuff going on. There were women there that I stayed away from. I was in the booth for a while, made a song that I haven't been able to find, but it was out there. I will sing the song. One of you might have heard it. And if you have, tell me, because I'd like to hear it. But the song goes, if today was tomorrow, will you still be here? Holding my hand, walking together, me and you. You got me singing, oh, 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 oh. If today was tomorrow, will you still be here? Holding my hand, walking together, me and you got me singing, oh, 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 oh. And anyway, that was the 2 or 3 minutes of me singing that came from that whole studio thing. Did I see any money from it? Yeah, I got that brand new guitar. They bought me some overalls, and all that stuff. But was there any dumb stuff happening? No, other than my behind sitting there a little bit too close to Patron, and ended up, leaving Patron all over the sidewalk. And people just kind of giggling, me like kind of nervous, be like, "Nah, you'll be all right. We didn't kill him." And I made it home the next day, and minded my own business about the whole situation, because there was a lot more that I didn't experience that I'm glad I didn't experience, because I was dealing with my own spiritual experience that took me back to the house, sat me back by that tree where that bird was like, and so yeah, back to what my point is, because this is not supposed to be about me, but I'm like, what the heck is Breed gonna say about me when they get a hold of this information? So anyway, what I would like to again go back to say is that, you know, I want to believe Lecrae that he hasn't compromised himself, like, and that would mean that everything that Breed was saying, might not have been exactly on point with what the true situation was, but he said so much on point about, well, okay, well, why weren't you bothered? Like, why weren't you, like, that is wrong. Like, I do fully support Breed, and a man has to be more of a man than he's ever been before in these days, because the attack against masculinity is very real. And, the devil's very real. Those games, the Hollywood snare is very real. And when I went to school in Los Angeles, I did have, designs on being what I already got to do to a certain degree, but I didn't know that all this extra stuff was attached to it. So I didn't want that anymore, and I don't want that. I am so thankful to have a job that I work very hard to pay my rent, and I can make all the music I want. If somebody takes hold to it, that's good. But no, I don't want to be that kind of rich and famous. I want to be, when when you hear my name, you know what I'm about. And it is that a lot of the familiar spirits or whatever that I pray off of me as much as I can. You're gonna blame me for being born into a bloodline that is Masonic. With that being said, I pray about it a lot because it comes with a lot. There are chambers that I've been tossed through. And I haven't even begun to talk about some of that stuff, and I'm not going to talk about it here, but I've seen things on the other side in this physical form, being on the other side and coming back. Like, the mystical realities of life are real. The mystery of God is true, but it's a mystery, and you can't just approach it any way you want to approach it. That being said, I'm realizing again I need to make sure that I remember to post, even before I post this, the teaching about who Haile Selassie is and how they base their Masonic things upon Jah Rastafari. Everything that the devil does is a counterfeit to what God has already done. He comes up with nothing original, nothing. So all of these deep mysteries that come from his source are just snatches of truth painted with a whole bunch of lies. It's a very intense thing to really pay attention and to really see what's happening and to really be here now. And so I'm gonna go through my mind to see if I said everything I know that I needed to say. My main point, I need to go back through my main point. Like, with New Breed, I do respect him very much. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with his whole, and I know he doesn't agree with me, but I pray that steel will sharpen steel, iron will sharpen iron, because I support the fact that he has a sword. I support the fact that I have a sword. I support the fact that he has guns. I support the fact that I have guns. With that being said, this is not an easy trod. It was never told to us that it would be. These are the days of revelation. These are the days of revelation. A boy is a boy, a girl is a girl. The devil's wickedness is transparent to those with eyes to see and ears to hear. So I would hear New Breed in my ear right now. I'd be like, well, why are you even, why are you trying to be Lecrae's lawyer in that sense? Somebody's got to. But maybe, I mean, just in the sense of, okay, he was walking up the stairs from downstairs to at the studio, and all that stuff. I felt like I was just like wanting New Breed to get through with all that and just hear what he actually said. I was like, did he go into the room knowing that there was a couch in there where the men were doing that, or was he walking by with the door open and there was a couch and all that stuff, and then he just kept it going because he saw what they were doing? That's what I want to believe, and that's what it sounded like he was trying to say to me. Breed, if I'm wrong, I'm going to listen and be calm and back and forth, intelligence to intelligence. You know, people try to say I'm gay a lot. I'm not. I've got a video of someone who pulled a gun on me because I was sick and tired of the way they were acting towards me when I was just trying to make music. You know, it's like I'm sitting there singing gospel in my room, in my studio, and they come out with all this blasphemous music, just trying to blast it against my gospel. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not cool. This is spiritual warfare. I'm going outside. And I made it clear that I was going outside regardless. And I went outside, and he's like, runs into the house and grabs a gun, and then gets all big and bad with the gun. I don't move. He shoots the gun off to the side. I don't move. He shoots the gun again. I don't move. He runs in the house, calls the police on himself. I'm the one that said, don't take him to jail. Take him to the hospital because he just had a heart attack. With that being said, you know, his woman, I have this footage, it's right there in my files. She's calling me all kind of things, and I didn't even know. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Is this what that group of people is thinking? And is this how they present it? I mean, just wretched people. I'm sorry, but just wretched freaking people that I did the best I could to not hurt, and I didn't touch them. I could have easily destroyed them both. Spoken clearly and meant. But what did I do? I got him off of his charges. The cops took him to the hospital because he had a slight heart attack. And then he's back in his room the next 2 days or so. No, anyway, that being said, it's like I have to address some of these things, and I have to address some of these things without hurting the people who I do not like to hear. She's called me a pedophile. Dude, I would kill somebody messing with my daughter, okay? I would kill somebody messing with one of my friend's sons or daughters. Blame me on that, okay? If you're going to blame something on me, blame me for how I really am and how I will really be when necessary. Sick of people just coming up with things in their heads and then blasting it out and having people confused because it's not the truth. That being said, I don't want to come against New Breed at all in a wrong way. I want to sharpen iron against iron and have the truth be known. I want people saved. You know, is there hope for P. Diddy? Like, I'm not the type to condemn people to hell because I've been there and it's nothing anyone wants to experience. And I'm not the only one. And I am done. Dang darn it.